there was a lot of noise about Trump decimating our economy, decimating our country potentially. There was fury that Trump was starting trade wars with Mexico and Canada, and also the gutting of USAID. The media is screaming our country is being radically destabilized. Yes, the bull is back in the China shop. You were told a trade war was beginning. Mexico and Canada announcing retaliatory tariffs on the United States after Trump imposed 25% on each country to force each country to help us keep drugs and illegals out of our own. The Wall Street Journal exclaimed, "The dumbest trade war fallout begins," by the editorial board, which means Murdoch knew about it. Dow futures tanked and the Dow fell more than 500 points this morning. We expected tonight to be talking about the pain that comes with fixing a really broken system. That's what I kind of had in my head this morning as I started the day. But that short-term pain didn't even last a full day. As we moved into the afternoon, the Dow was recovering quite nicely after Mexico's president folded and agreed to send about 10,000 troops to help fully secure our border from her own side. It was a full and immediate capitulation. The president was clearly satisfied.
With Mexico, we had a great talk with Mexico, and we had President Sheinbaum is a woman. I like her very much, and we've had good relationships, but we have to stop fentanyl from coming in, whether I like somebody or not, and they've agreed to put in 10,000 soldiers permanently, like forever, 10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. Look at what happened with that. Everybody said that with Colombia it was going to be a disaster. In one hour, everything was settled. You know why? Tariffs.
So you notice how he speaks nicely about Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico. That means there was a full capitulation, right? And just like Colombia, he said. And only a couple hours after Trump said that, we saw Justin Trudeau fold as well, announcing a huge plan to secure our northern border on their end. We're now seeing a pattern here, right? Trump makes a move. Everybody calls him insane, calls him unstable. And then it works. And then we just move on to the next one where they call him insane again. You start to wonder when the experts out there, and there's so many experts and all they do is talk and write all day long about this man, when are the experts going to admit that they just don't really understand how the world works? All these foreign leaders talk a really big game, but they don't carry a big stick. With Trump just 13 days in, Republicans have 2 full years to fix a totally busted system. And it has started rapidly. 2 years to do the politically dangerous work that nobody else in Washington has ever been willing to do. Remember, it's far easier to ignore all of these things he's trying to fix. All of this is very easily ignored, and elections can be won. Presidents have been doing it for a long time. You can ignore all of this and continue to let our country be manipulated and abused and bleeding out cash. It's actually easy to ignore, and it's easier than anything. It's also more politically advantageous. You'll be beloved by the government itself, by the media, by the lobbyists, by basically everybody in Washington, D.C., if you don't do these things. Trump wanted United States fair trade and security. He was lambasted for this. If you want to know why our problems are perpetually ignored, if you want to know why we are $35 trillion in debt and it's only getting worse, this is why. Take a listen to how they sound.
On these tariffs, listen, you don't have to be smart in economics to know. This pushes the EU.
25% tariffs.
This pushes the EU. This pushes Canada. This pushes Mexico into the arms of China.
Say goodbye to your avocado toast and your tequila. We are going to see real pain. And again, it's not actually going to address the fentanyl crisis.
These are our friends, and we are treating them like trash. We are bullying them. Now he's going to tax our tequila and avocados?
Yeah.
Nice little montage of some of the stupidest people on TV. Furious and terrified, vilifying, fear-mongering. This is why the broken machine never gets fixed, because it doesn't want to be fixed. Over the weekend, Trump explained exactly why he's threatening our supposed allies, who are grifters, by the way, and are manipulating us, why he's threatening our allies with tariffs. It's so simple and honest, his answer, you wonder how the machine was able to vilify any of this in the first place.
What does Canada and Mexico need to do for you to lift the tariffs? What are specifically you want? That have to balance out their trade, number one. That we've got to stop people from pouring into our country, and we've stopped it. They haven't stopped it. We've stopped it. They have to stop people from pouring in, and we have to stop fentanyl, and that includes China. Fentanyl has killed this year at least 200,000 people. It's pouring in from China through Mexico and Canada, and they've got to stop it. And if they don't stop it, the tariffs are going to get worse, a lot worse.
He wants to solve a trade imbalance and stop tens of thousands of Americans from being poisoned to death. Ooh, what a terrible person. Nobody in the media has accused him of lying about either of these major problems either, which means that the president is being lambasted by people who don't care about American lives and don't care about American jobs or anything else. People like Chuck Schumer.
In a trade war with Mexico and Canada. For the American people, it'll now be a war between prices and their paychecks. It's going to affect almost everything. Let's just take Super Bowl Sunday, okay? It's going to affect beer, okay? Most of it, Corona here, comes from Mexico. It's going to affect your guac, because what is guacamole made of? Avocados, both from Mexico. If you have pizza, it's going to affect the cost of cheese. So all of these are subject to price increases.
Yeah, don't fix anything. Just continue on. Chuck Schumer cared more about the price of an avocado than like 150,000 American lives every year. And now with Mexico falling in line, there won't even be a minor consequence to all of this, to ending the flow of a drug that is slaughtering young people in this country. They were so worried about the consequences, even if there were consequences. Does that mean it's wrong to try and stop fentanyl from coming into the country? There won't even be that. Won't even be a minor consequence. It was resolved in a matter of hours. Not that Chuck Schumer really cares. He's already going to scream about Trump's next threat to bureaucracy, which is what they should call it. Here was Mitch McConnell on 60 Minutes last night.
What about tariffs against our allies?
It will drive the cost of everything up. In other words, it'll be paid for by American consumers. I mean, why would you want to get in a fight with your allies over this?
Because you want to save like 100,000 people's lives and create fair trade so that our middle class can start to boom again. You know, we can get those jobs back that Mitch McConnell and the boys gave away over the last 30 or 40 years. Mitch McConnell has been in Congress since candles lit the hallways, and Trump's speed has already shattered his key soundbite from last night's 60 Minutes. Already, that soundbite now sounds terrible. It sounds uninformed. We have never seen anything like this, the speed at which things change with this presidency and change for the better. And the outrage is over much more than just tariffs. Panama has just announced it's ending a major deal with China after Trump's fierce talk about the canal was demonized for weeks, after they went nuts over the Panama Canal. Look, the Belt and Roads Initiative in Panama is ending. Big stuff. Again, they're wrong. Again, he's right. Today, Secretary of State Marco Rubio was handed control of USAID, the sprawling bureaucracy that's in charge of handing out your money to the rest of the world. Many times when you hear stories, ridiculous stories of government waste, and you think, how in the hell did we spend $4 billion on that? USAID is usually involved in it. Elon Musk spent the weekend looking over this agency and found robust evidence of USAID, the agency that sends your money away, working against the best interests of our country, pushing a Marxist agenda in a lot of cases. Today, Marco Rubio said this.
If you go to mission after mission and embassy after embassy around the world, you will often find that in many cases, USAID is involved in programs that run counter to what we're trying to do in our national strategy with that country or with that region. That cannot continue. USAID is not an independent, non-governmental entity. It is an entity that spends taxpayer dollars, and it needs to spend it, as the statute says, in alignment with the policy directives that they get from the Secretary of State, the National Security Council, and the President. And it's been 20 or 30 years where people have tried to reform it, and it refuses to reform. It refuses to cooperate. When we were in Congress, we couldn't even get answers to basic questions about programs. That will not continue. That's not going to continue.
So it appears the Trump team is right over the target, right? Especially on USAID, because some of the worst and most corrupt people in Washington are utterly furious at the idea of investigating USAID and forcing it to operate in our country's best interest. Today we saw the rage right outside of the Capitol, and it was obvious. We heard a cacophony of screams from people who want to remake America in the image of the rest of the world, which is basically what the left effectively believes now. They want to make us more like all of them. Sounds terrible, right? They spewed pure outrage as it appears that Elon Musk and Doge are, again, right over a pretty big target here.
This is what the beginning of dictatorship looks like. We get to decide. We have the power of the purse.
I want to apologize. I want to say I'm sorry that you have to put up with this offensive bull coming out of this White House.
We are going to fight in every way we can.
This is a constitutional crisis that we are in today. Let's call it what it is.
And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him.
Yeah, you know, when Raskin and Murphy and Ilhan are really mad and they're cursing outside of the Capitol, that's a really, really, really good sign. And that's what all of this has been for the last week and a half. We've seen nothing but noise, tons and tons of noise. And you know what that's the sound of? That's the sound of progress. That's the sound of your country being overtaken by you and taken away from them. Trump was elected because Americans realized just how badly this country is being run. They tossed him out for Biden 4 years ago and realized, oh, this is why we elected him in the first place, and they came back home. Of course, the process is going to be messy. It's not messy at all if you sit there and do nothing. You get a lot of good headlines, there's not a lot to talk about. But this is going to be messy. And this is when you got to hold on and don't let the headlines manipulate how you think. This is just the beginning of a dramatic shift that has needed to happen for decades in this country. This is the work nobody has ever wanted to do. This is the work of a White House that is interested in more than itself and interested in more than just the next election.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.